Hi, congratulations because you're watching the first episode of a brand new show on Astro AWANI called Going Global. It's always easy to say, Malaysian company, Malaysian entrepreneurs go global, but how? What's the strategy? What's the global mindset? In this episode, the fourth, we're going to talk about the global mindset, and this is the common ground at Bukit Bintang. If you visit the swanky studio of Astro AWANI Jalan Raja Chulan, heading towards Pavilion, just go straight past the junction, and on the left, up there is common ground. And why are we here? Because Astro AWANI is funky. Serba Dinamik is the funky darling of Bursa Malaysia right now if you look at the charts. And I have two funky people from Serba Dinamik with me. Of course, I always introduce him as my friend from Sarawak when actually he's way, way bigger than that. Datuk Karim, thank you so much for making time to be. Without you, there would be no Serba Dinamik. But to prove that this is not just Datuk Karim's show, we have today Saudara Rosland Othman, who is the Senior Vice President of Special Projects for Serba Dinamik, because he looks at the crucial things going global for Serba Dinamik, I guess. That's why he's here. I want to start with Datuk Karim on global mindset, because sometimes we assume that if the business and the technology is the same, we could go anywhere around the world and implement it. But the people factor, the cultural factor, how do we have local and global with a global mindset? Because the lesson we learned from the 20th century, the multinationals of the Western part, too often they come here with their own formula, expecting us to just seamlessly integrate, and we know that's not doable. Maybe the fact that after 9/11, Serba Dinamik is a darling in the Middle East testify to that. But I don't know. So I'm asking you, do we need to have a global mindset? What is the global mindset going?
I would say that in the organization of Serba Dinamik, the way how the employees think and the way how the management think, and also of course the way how the board think is very important. Okay. Because historically, if we look at all the developed countries, everything comes back to the mindset of their people. And if you look at how some country colonize other country, one of the way is they go and meet up with the local people and try all kinds of strategy and method to change their mindset, so that they feel themselves very timid, they feel themselves very small, they think themselves very unable, okay. And then with that they can come in to control the respective country. So these are evidence of history that is being shown to everybody to put to the point that mindset and the thinking is very important.
So what is the Malaysian mindset in your point of view?
Well, I would say that Malaysian has progressed quite a lot. A lot of them has global thinking also, because they believe that their abilities can be utilized outside of Malaysia. A lot of Bumiputras are also very successful internationally. It's just that the numbers are not being looked into in a more statistically manner. Yeah. So from that aspect, I would say that we are not really that far behind as compared to a lot of other countries.
Can I put Saudara Rosland on the spot now, because
yeah, sure.
I want to ask him to tell us the truth. It's easy for the big bosses to ask us to do this and that, projects that and projects this. But we are the one who have to put everything together, what the board wants, what the shareholder expect, what the CXOs expect. But we have to work with many stakeholders, especially in a project-based thing, because it's easy for an HR department to do BAU. But special projects means special projects. Sometimes you've got to cut across all stakeholders and make them work.
I think, we at Serba Dinamik, we consider ourselves as a family. In everything we do, we consult each other. I think Datuk Karim being the founder and leader of the company, I look for him for direction, on how to implement our strategy locally and especially overseas. And with that direction, and the experience I have before this working with banks, I'm able to actually put some of this strategy into what we call a proper business plan for the company. Obviously, it's not as easy as what people think, but it's a team effort at the end of the day. It's not just me, It's not just Datuk Karim, it's about the team that we built around us.
They need to have the same thinking.
Exactly, yes.
Datuk Karim, can I test him just one time more?
Sure. You are most welcome.
Mixed reality. Why went to that big thing you have Serba Dinamik had with Microsoft at a big Mandarin Oriental hotel. Now your client and stakeholders can have the benefit of what we call the fourth industrial revolution kind of technology, you know, using HoloLens like goggles in front of my eyes, sophisticated one. I can solve a problem of a client in the Middle East just by being here in Malaysia, and of course by other forms of communicating with the client. But I'm sure many stakeholders had to agree to that before you announce it to the public. So how was it behind the scene for you guys? Because the moment you use that technology, it comes across all divisions that you have in Serba Dinamik, because people will just be thinking, now Serba Dinamik can do mixed reality with HoloLens and can solve our problem anywhere around the world.
I think for us, we always discuss on how to put Serba ahead of the rest. In the sense that, you know, I mean, we are quite comfortable where we are at now, but the world that we are living, especially with technology that you are mentioning just now, you know, if you don't embrace that, if you don't actually understand what it's all about, you're going to be left behind. And for us, that's not an option. You know, for us, embracing that allows us to open up different doors for the company.
But I bet some of you guys never even play PlayStation, virtual
Exactly,
reality.
you know.
But now you have to use
Yes.
mixed reality in your business.
Exactly, you know, these are the things that I believe that the platform that the company provide to us, that, you know, it's not that we are being forced to learn, you know, it is something that we have to understand that if you don't learn, understand it, you're going to be left behind.
Now I have to check with the boss whether what you say is right or not, because the problem for the captain is always whether my men and women can follow me, my team can follow me, exactly as how we see it. So mixed reality help in that because it makes visualizing things easier. However, it's easier for startups before, like Facebook and Google, because they embrace technology from the DNA. Your technology at the DNA was engineering, not mixed reality, not virtual, not augmented. Now that you're trying to push this new adaptation of the big data, AI and everything, how do you think the response has been from your team?
Of course, I would say that everybody in the organization, as far as Serba Dinamik is concerned, is also very excited towards whether these big ambitions will be something which will get the acceptance of the market or not. And after the event, I would say that based on the feedbacks and so on, we are receiving a tremendous thumb up from various different sectors and different people. So I would say that that is good. But the next question will be, I need to address and convince my investor and shareholder whether this is something moving towards the right direction or not. And again, I would say that it is something which is acceptable to them as long as we can get the return of investment. So we have tabled out those aspects, and we are quite comfortable and confident that we should be able to get the return of investment based on this initiative that we have put in.
You know, senior vice president, they have to deal with people lower down the line.
Yeah.
So how do you tell people down the line, now you have to upgrade and upskill to mixed reality?
Yeah.
You know, and even in my industry, which deals with visualizing, augmented and mixed and whatever, it's not that easy because people would have to learn new skills.
Yeah.
How is that done in Serba Dinamik? Because it can frighten other people because for 20 over years I've been doing this. Why do I have to wear this thing on my face? And now any time, 2 o'clock in the morning Malaysian time, I might have to solve a problem in Dubai maybe or somewhere. So how do you put for the horse, not to bring it to water, and you cannot force the horse to drink the water, but now to embrace it? How do you do it in Serba Dinamik? It's easier for Facebook and Google because they start with a new culture.
Yeah. I think, you know, is basically trying to make the staff understand that the existence of Serba cannot rely on the old way of doing things. Our way forward is to basically learn the new knowledge, which is what is this mixed reality, augmented realities. These are the things that are going to transform the way how we do business moving forward. And we, I think, understands that the importance of providing the relevant knowledge to our staff. That's why I think in Serba, our education and training, we put highest priority to that. Make sure that the staff are well informed, they know exactly what the strategy are being put in place by the management, so that at least everybody knows where we are heading to moving forward.
Spoken like a true senior vice president of special projects. Dato', in 1 minute, I just want to steal time a bit, encapsulate. It's easier for Google because they have things like 20% of the time you can do your own project, but you can use company's time. They started with that. For Serba Dinamik, how do you make the horse always want to drink water? You don't have to force.
I would see it from this perspective. If you look at the automotive industry, Ford started off the inventions of all this automotive industry. Toyota came in later on, similarly like Mazda and so on and so forth. But if you look at the reality of what is going on today, Toyota is leading the entire world in terms of the technology, the sales volume, and the aggressiveness of how they push themselves into the acceptance of the customer. So the same thing of this nature, even though people like Facebook, Google and so on has been in this kind of environment way back much earlier than Serba Dinamik, it does not mean that we will not be able to move forward to be at par with them. We have that vision because we always say that globalization basically open up the world market to us. And that is why we really think that globalization or going global is very important.
Thank you so much, Dato' Dr. Engineer Muhammad Abdul Karim Abdullah. You always give the things for us to think about. Saudara Rosland, a true senior vice president. Good for him. But Dato' encapsulated that because mindset is not something that is abstract. It's done in execution and implementation, and you just explained to that, both of you. Thank you so much. This is the 4th installment of Going Global, sharing the strategies of going global with the most successful companies so far that I've met within the Astro, AWANI and Bursa ecosystem, Serba Dinamik. We'll see you in other episodes very, very soon.